She's like on top of me, like she's hovering over me. Like she's hovering over me like this while I'm asleep.
You wanna know my name, but I ain't giving it. I already peeped your game, I ain't feeling it.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by for yet again another video with yours truly. If you don't know, my name is Kayla and I post once a week. Join the gang if you enjoy this content. Today we're going to be doing a story time about my devil worshiping roommate. This story is about to be a whole hot mess, but stay tuned. If you haven't already caught my last video about how I went to jail, that is also a hot mess story. So check the description below for that link and check that story out as well. Now, if you are feeling this hair, hunty, give a thumbs up. If you are not feeling this hair, hunty, comment why, because this hair is giving me Beyonce vibes, okay? And you have got to be a fool to not rock with it.
So let's just jump right on in. Now, I wrote notes about this story time because it took place so long ago. So if you see me looking up and down, I'm just looking at my notes, okay? I got accepted to Columbia College, Chicago, I think in my senior year. And I was super excited. I didn't know anything about Chicago other than that it was super cold. I didn't have any friends out there, no family, which I didn't know at the time. I actually did have an aunt, hey, I'm Rita, that was from Illinois, but I didn't know that at the time. So to me, I was going out there with nobody, right? Thankfully, though, this school offered like a forum, I guess you can call it, on Facebook where you would be able to meet new freshmen, or where you would be able to meet freshmen, new students, transfer students, everything. You'd be able to meet these people on this forum and connect, talk, become friends, all of that. The funny thing is, I actually met some of the people that I still talk to this day on that forum. One of my good friends, Jasmine, hey girl, I met her on this forum first. And my friend LaQuaylin, I met him on this forum. Hey LaQuaylin. Now LaQuaylin was already gaining popularity without even being from the school, because he would post videos of him singing on the forum. So he already made a name for himself before he even got to Columbia. So hey friend. So this forum definitely was necessary, and I'm glad that I got to meet, people on there before I actually got to the school. Now, here comes the point where we start to get assigned to our dorms. I got assigned to this dorm called the Dwight, which I really wanted to be assigned to because it was a really nice dorm. It was apartment style. You had, separate rooms in there, a kitchen, bathroom, living room, all of that. So I definitely wanted to get assigned to that dorm. So thankfully I did. Columbia also sent you an email with like 2 weeks before school, maybe even longer than that, maybe 3 to 4 weeks before school, you got an email from Columbia introducing you to your roommates. Through this email, I was able to, look up the first name and the last name to my roommates on Facebook and, find out who they are, contact them, connect, so that you know who you're rooming with before school starts. Now, I had amazing roommates my freshman year. I had Megan and I had Laura. Hey y'all, if you're watching this video. And if y'all are watching this video, comment below that I'm not lying about the story. Vouch for me, y'all. But anyways, these were my favorite roommates of all time. Now, the roommate that is the main character in this story, we're gonna call her Amania. Amania, I do not remember Amania being on the email in terms of her face. I think I remember her name, her first and last name being on the email, but I don't remember much else. I don't remember her having a picture on there, and I do remember looking up her name online and I couldn't find her. So that was, weird flag number one. I was never able to find her. So that was that. Moving on to now, it's the time for me and my mother to fly to Chicago and, move into my dorm, all of that. So I move into my dorm. I meet Megan and Laura for the first time. They were amazing, just like I expected. And we start to move in our dorm. We start to claim bathrooms, claim kitchen spaces, cabinets, all of that, which was a breeze. There was no problems, no nothing. So we're, claiming our spots and getting acclimated to this new live-in space. Amania was nowhere to be found. I think we talked about it, like, hey, did you guys ever meet Amania? No one could find her on Facebook or nothing like that. So we thought she might not be moving in. Maybe we just gonna have an empty room and maybe another roommate will move in. Like, we had no idea. We didn't really even care either. Like, we were just happy to be there. So now comes the time where it's time for my mother to leave. And I was so sad when my mom left. I remember she was in a taxi cab. And I just remember seeing the back of the taxi cab, just like a movie, and she's waving goodbye, and I'm crying. I'm like, Mom. So that was hard. I remember how sad I was during that time. Also, you know what? Columbia in general, I have a lot of stories about my college experience. So if y'all want some stories, comment below, because I got some stories about being in Chicago. But anyways, so my mom left, and I don't know if it was that specific night, but at some point, Laura, Megan, and we went to a pizza parlor with Megan's family. So at this point, we're starting to build a bond amongst us three, and we just thought maybe it's going to be us three. We don't know, but we definitely are starting to create a bond, and it was awesome. Now, Amania, who we thought maybe will not show up, showed up with her mom. She would show up when my mom was gone, because had my mom been there, girl, that probably wouldn't have went down. But she shows up, I feel like maybe a couple of days or so after my mom left, and she shows up with her mother. Now, when they show up, I remember her mom being upset that Amania didn't have any cabinet space in the kitchen, which we didn't know that she was coming. So the kitchen wasn't huge. So it wasn't like you had all this type of space. You just kind of had to make it work. But for 3 people, it was enough space. Now, 4 people, like I said, you would have to make it work. But we didn't know where she was at or if she was even coming. So we didn't leave an empty space for her. So Amania and her mom come, and I remember her mom being upset, like, where is Amania supposed to have her kitchen space? Like, da-da-da-da. And we're young kids, like, we're straight out of high school, so we're not about to fight with this lady. And they were my people. So Amania's mom was not for the play, but at the same time, then that's why I said, had my mom been there, this would have never went down. But again, follow on. So she's like, mad, got an attitude. Nobody really knows how to respond to her because we're straight out of high school. We're not about to fight with this lady. So we just like, we don't know, but you can find your spot. Like, it's for the taking. You just wasn't here. So basically her mom was tripping. Now I remember I was able to pull Amania to the side, and I was like, is your mom okay? Like, we didn't really mean to leave you out or whatever. And she was like, I don't know. I hate my mom. And I'm like, oh. Okay, and then she just walks away. So I remember that experience. That was weird flag number 2. Amania's mom eventually leaves. Now, like I said, Megan, Laura, and I had already formed a bond, but we were open to bringing someone else in. But Amania was never interested in connecting with us. We didn't know anything about her. She never came out of her room. We met her that one time when she came out and was moving stuff in her room, but we never had a conversation with her. We didn't know nothing about this girl, and she wasn't interested in us at all. I remember we went to the movies to see The Lion King, because around that time, for some reason, The Lion King had came back, but in theaters. Me, Laura, and Megan had went to the movies, and I remember us inviting Amania. We used to invite her everywhere, but she was always declining, like, no. Like, she would come. First of all, let me describe Amania to you. She was African American. She used to wear a bob. She used to wear a wig. It was like a Party City-like wig. And I ain't coming for her. I'm just saying. It literally looked like a Party City-like wig. It was super shiny, and it was a bob. And it was like right here. And she had like bangs right here too. It was like bangs and a bob, and it was all black. And she used to wear all black. Now, her mom wore all black and black eyeliner and stuff, just like Amania. So they were the same in that way. So she was, kind of emo. Which, this is a performing arts school, so you have to understand, nobody was nobody was judgy and nobody was like surprised by her look, because when you go to a performing arts school, you see any and everything. So nobody's like surprised. We're just like, hey girl, like you look like you look like us. We just normal, you know what I'm saying? So, but that was her get up. She wore all black at all times. Sometimes she would incorporate a little bit of purple, but for the most part, she wore black, bob, bangs. That's it. And you know, black eyeliner, all of that. So, but she never was interested in hanging out with us. So eventually we just stopped asking her, because girl. Now, when school started though, I don't remember Laura's major, but I know Megan and I were musical theater majors. So it wasn't uncommon to hear us singing or practicing at the wee hours of the morning. But Amania, I do remember like between 2 and 3 a.m. all the time, you would hear a soundtrack of like a drum, like some type of drum set, I remember, and then random screaming, like, ah! I swear to God, like that. And Megan and Laura, don't leave me, vouch for me, I'm not lying. You would hear a random soundtrack and then screaming. I remember we would all come out to the middle of the dorm and we'll put our ear to Amania's door to hear like what's going on. And we would all look at each other like, y'all hear that? And then we would all agree like, that's weird, but okay. And I'd never seen Amania in the morning to go to class. Like I remember me, Laura, and Megan would be going to class at different times of the day. I never really remember seeing Amania leave her room. I would see her leave her room at random times and it would be like late at night. So I don't know if her class was like super early in the morning. I don't know, but I had morning classes and I ain't never seen her leave, but whatever. Amania used to do weird stuff like that. Screaming at the middle of the night. You never see her, never want to hang out, nothing. When the screams started to get consistent, I started to get frightened. Okay, so I did something that was a little extra of me. I wrote Bible scriptures in red to represent the blood of Jesus, and I put them all over my door. So anytime somebody would come to my dorm, they'd be like, girl, like, what's up? And I would have to give them a little spiel of homegirl. And that's why I did it. Call it extra. I don't care. I was trying to protect myself. And at that age, it was scary for me. So that's what I did. And yeah, like I said, Amania never came out. You know, she just would scream in the middle of the night and play these weird soundtracks. One night when Laura and Megan had gone home for the holidays, I always went home for the holidays a little bit later than them because I had to wait for my mom to buy me a plane ticket to go back to California. So I would always be the last one to leave. And I don't think Amania ever left for the break. I think she would just stay at the dorm, but everyone else would leave. So I would be the last one to leave. Laura's family would come pick her up. Megan would leave, and then I was last, which I hated because now I got to be with Amania. So one night I was in my dorm. I don't know where my friends were, but none of my friends were available. I hadn't left for home yet. And I was just there chilling in my room. I get up at my door and I know that it has to be Amania because who else is going to be? So I answer the door and I'm like, hey girl. And she's like, hey, I'm about to watch a movie. Do you want to watch a movie with me? And for some reason, I just did not want to decline. I just thought that if I declined, she might put a hoax on me. I don't know, but I didn't want to decline. So I was like, sure. But I didn't want to watch it. But I'm like, sure, okay. So when I come out of the dorm, homegirl got a whole date low-key set up for me. She has 2 wine glasses of cranberry juice. She has what I didn't know at the time, but I learned later, vegan pizza laid out. She had some other snacks around it. And I'm like, okay. Maybe she's trying to be friends. I don't know. Funny thing is, we were watching a horror film. So I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting there watching the movie. We're not really talking. She's doing this every now and then. Like that. And I'm like that. Like, so it was definitely awkward. But I'm like trying to watch this movie. I wishing this movie hurried the hell up so I can go back to my room. So we're just watching the movie. Now, at some point, I don't know if I was tired because I would have never fell asleep on somebody that I'm not comfortable with, but I fell asleep. Now, fun fact about me, I sleep with my eyes slightly open. I don't know why. It could be because I had stitches on my eyes. So my eyelid is actually made of silicone thread. And if you want to know a story about my eyes, comment. So my eyes stay open a little bit when I'm asleep. So it looks like this. Like, wait. It looks like, I can't do it because of my eyelashes, but when I go to sleep, it looks like this. So my eyes are a little bit open, but not open enough to where you think I'm awake, you know that I'm asleep. But since they're open when I'm asleep, I guess they roll in the back of my eyes, but if I'm awake, like, I can see you. So I fell asleep, and at some point I woke up, but Amania must have thought I was still asleep. She didn't know I was awake. Now, she could be looking at me because my eyes are open when I'm asleep, or she could be on some weird stuff. I don't know. But I woke up, and I'm looking at her, looking like this. I'm looking straight at her like this, so I can see her, and she's like on top of me, like she's hovering over me. Like, she's hovering over me like this while I'm asleep. And so I wake up and I see her, and my heart starts beating fast because I'm like, what the hell is she looking at me like that for, and why is she over me like that? So I'm like, ooh, girl, I don't know how I fell asleep. Girl, did you watch this movie? And she's like, yeah, I watched the movie. Yeah, it's doing good or whatever. Yeah, this movie is nice or whatever. So at that point, I'm like, hell no, look, I'm out. So I was like, girl, I'm so tired, I'm gonna go to sleep. So I just went back to my dorm, texting my friends, like telling them that I woke up to some girl over me. And they're like, what? That's crazy, da da da. So then after that, I leave for Christmas break, come back, or whatever break that was, come back. Laura and Megan back. I told them the story, whatever. They like, oh, like, that's weird as hell. So now we're back to normal, normal routine of going to class, going to school. Still not seeing Amania. Amania is still in her room. Still the 3 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. screams. Everything, nothing changed. So one day, now this part is a little blurry, and maybe if my roommates remember, they can bring me up to speed. But I just remember we got called into... we used to have what's called RAs, and those were resident assistants or whatever. They would be college students as well that would watch over the floor of the dorm, and you would have teams or whatever. So that's who you went to for help or whatever. Now, I don't know. I remember we got called by the RA, and they had a meeting with us, and they were telling us like, hey, Amania is starting to feel like you guys are harassing her, you guys are bullying her or whatever. Again, we ain't never had no conversations enough to be bullying Amania. She never came out of her room, so we all were like shocked, like, what? Like, Laura, first of all, was like a quiet, reserved type of person, so she wouldn't be bullying nobody. Megan was, very animated musical theater major, just super sweet. And me, I'm scared. I got the blood of Jesus on my door, so I ain't about to be bullying you because I don't want you to put no hoax on me, so I'm not gonna bully you. So I don't know why that happened. She just lied. And so they were threatening to either kick us out the dorm or have her go. And I'm like, well, it's 3 of us. Get her ass out of here. So we're like, well, that's a lie. That's never happened. Like, what y'all got going on? I remember after we talked to the RA, because we had like about 2 meetings with the RA. One was with the RA, and then the second meeting was like with some type of faculty from the school. Like, it was like a big deal at the time. And so I think Amania ended up being the one that was switched out. But I just remember both, like, those last days before she actually moved out, she used to be giving me all type of looks. Like, it was just like dirty looks. And I'm like, girl, please. I don't know why you're lying on me, but I never did anything to you. I don't know what's going on. Please. So that was pretty much the end of that when she moved out. Now, I ended up seeing her one time. Like I said, I never saw her go to class. And one time I was going to one of my classes, and I had to pass this dorm called the UC. And I saw Amania. I literally saw her like all the way down the street. And it's like our eyes locked. And she was just like this weird ass smile. And I'm like, oh my God. So I like just ran into this nearest Panera Bread that was near the UC, and I just ran up in there because, girl, what? Like, it was just weird. Woo! Girl, so after that, Amania was never heard from or seen again. I had never seen her anywhere. I ended up going, to Columbia 2 more years after that. I never seen her, never heard from her, nothing. I had told my family about her. I think it was actually my mom that recommended putting those scriptures on my wall. I had a devil worshiping roommate because how else would I describe her? I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. This was one of my shortest story times. Again, I have a lot of story times involving my college experience. If you guys want to hear about that, just comment below. Love you guys. I'm out.